on the podium. My thanks to Lucas Gajewski there for bringing us the GT Winter Series podiums. But there's no respite here today at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. The formation lap begins for the Formula Winter Series. It is Gianmarco Pradel on pole position for Us Racing, leading an all-Us top 5. Gianmarco Pradel in the lead. Bora Alshav in second place on the grid. Sorry, my screen has just gone down a little bit with the with that information, but that's on my end, so I'll just have to take a few seconds there to get that sorted, and I now have. Akshay Bora in second place on the grid alongside Gianmarco Pradel. Bora Akshay there in second place. Zachary David, the 20 car, third on the grid, and just over a tenth back from pole. There was just a hundredth of a second, incidentally, between Pradel and Bora on the front row of the grid. So very close here at the sharp end. Riqui Liu in the Us Racing 66, second row of the grid. Frederick Lund, row 3. That's the 14 car, a 141.829 for Frederick Lund. He's alongside Ethan Isher of Yenza Motorsport on row 3. Hrawang Kim of Yenza Motorsport on row 4, alongside Lola Lovin-Foss. That's the Campos Racing number 10, Maite Caceres and Amna Al-Kwabasi rounding out our order. Of course, the latter driver with plenty of experience, actually a category up in Formula Regional. But Amna Al-Kwabasi, the Emirati driver, joining us this weekend in Formula Winter Series, and she'll be starting from the back of the field. At the sharp end, it is the Australian driver Gianmarco Pradel who will line up on the front row of the grid. Pradel here with support from both of his parents, who I think have rather committed to this European lifestyle after what was meant to be a short trip over for the Ferrari Driver Academy finals. Of course, Gianmarco now competing in the Italian Formula 4 Championship this year. When we go into the summer season, I think they are committing to life outside Australia to support the budding career of Gianmarco Pradel, who starts on pole position. Then he will get the good run into the first corner, but he's going to have competition, that much is for sure, from front row starter Bora, and he got a great start as well from the inside of the front row. Second place, Akshay Bora, trying to get up the inside of Gianmarco Pradel. Can he get it done? Bora having a go. Akshay Bora has the inside line. Does he have the lead? Oh, not quite. They're still side by side as they go through the first corner. No contact between anybody that I can see. They've also got to worry about Zachary David there in third place as well. Zachary David was in the mix there as they run towards turn 4 for the first time in the race, and according to the timing screen, it's Zachary David in the lead. Yes, Zachary David has made it up into the lead of the race there, battling further back there, including Al-Kwabasi there. As we wait to get a look at the race lead, it's very close between the top 3, and it is still 3 Us Racing cars practically all in one pack as they turn in to turn 7 for the first time. Now, I don't think it's Zachary David in the lead anymore. No, Bora has gotten through again, so Akshay Bora has managed to move up into the race lead. So it really is a bit of a ping-pong game in the lead at the moment. It goes from one side to the other and back again. However, Gianmarco Pradel has fallen down to third position as it stands. They're in the final sector of the lap at the moment, and we await the sight of our race leaders once again. Some shots here from turn 4, but the race leaders will be more like turn 14 in just a few moments' time. It should be Bora still there in the race leads. And I can hear them now coming across the start-finish line, and it is still Akshay Bora in the race lead. It's Bora that leads the way from Zachary David and Gianmarco Pradel. And here they are now. We see the top three down the main straight. There's battling further back there with one of the US Racing cars. I believe that's Ricky Liu under pressure from Lovin Foss and Kim there. So Campos Racing's number 10 car, the one of two Campos cars in this race, there further back. Al-Qubaisi has moved up through the order. So Amna Al-Qubaisi has moved past Mate Caceres there on the first lap of the race. So that's a move for 9th position. We see the cars turning through turn 5, and then there's a little kink, which is officially turn 6. We then reach turn 7 and 8, and it seems as though that top 3 battle has settled down a little bit now. Akshay Bora in the race lead for the time being. But certainly, on that first lap, there was a lot of position exchange between our leading drivers. But just about leading at the moment is Akshay Bora, who started on the front row of the grid. Of course, our pole sitter, Gianmarco Pradel, is there in 3rd place. And Pradel, for us racing, will be mightily disappointed by the fact that he is only in 3rd place. He'll have seen that pole position as a great opportunity to log a victory here, and it could still come for him, but it's a rather heavier task than it would have been if he'd retained the lead in the early stages. And we see now the top 3 once again cycling through the first corners, and it looks as though Akshay Bora was quite deep there into the first corner, and that's granted an opportunity not only to Zachary David, but also to Gianmarco Pradel as they come out of turn 3 and approach turn 4. We've got a car off further back. I think that's Frederick Lund there, who went off circuit. In fact, it might have been the Yenza Motorsport car of Ethan Isher. Not too sure about that. But Gianmarco Pradel has made his way up into 2nd place. I believe he did that around the outside at turn 3, which is very brave, but he has managed to secure 2nd place, and he is now going to pursue Akshay Bora. We know these two are close in terms of pace. There was exactly 1/100th of a second between their qualifying times for this race. However, Pradel has now fallen back behind David, so Zachary David is back up there into 2nd place. We didn't see that one on camera, but we just saw confirmation visually, and we see confirmation on the timing screen of the fact that the positions have changed again in favour of Zachary David. So Pradel may have had a nose ahead, but Zachary David has retained the position ultimately. So this race, 30 minutes plus 1 lap, of course, and we're just under 25 minutes left to go. We await the cars now as they approach turn 10. In fact, I don't think that was a live shot, because here they come now out of 14. And we see the field still in the same order, no change. Maite Caceres there for Campos Racing, just behind Amna Al-Qubaisi at the moment. And is that a move going on into the first corner? Yes, it is. Yenza Motorsport's Kim, who was 8th at the start line, has managed to move up to 7th place there around the outside at turn 1. But, oh, damage! Front wing off the Campos car. I think Amna Al-Qubaisi and Maite Caceres have had a coming together there. And I believe it's Caceres who has lost the front wing in that one. But you see there, the carbon fibre, almost perfectly intact from the front wing, has come off the car. And oh dearie oh me, that is not an ideal place for a front wing to be. We'll see whether or not that can be collected under local yellows. It'll be another minute or so before the cars come through that section of the circuit again, so hopefully a marshal can get there under local yellow flags. But we saw there the front wing sliding across the circuit, and Maite Caceres, I believe the one carrying the damage. Meanwhile, at the front end of the order, we still have this battle for second place, and it's still Gianmarco Pradel trying to find a way around Zachary David. Our front row starter still seething in third position at the moment. Isn't it great, though, to see the turn 13 and turn 14 sweepers return to what they were when this circuit opened in 1991, there or thereabouts. That chicane that has been a part of the layout since around 2007 has been abandoned in favour of the high-speed turn 13, turn 14 right-hand sequence that was here when the circuit first opened. And I know that's been a very popular move across various championships. And we're most excited here at Giedlich Racing to present some of the first races to take place on this rejuvenated layout here. Safety car has been declared out on the circuit. There is the number 6 car of Cáceres in. And you can see that indeed they will have to replace that front wing, which is rather lighter than it was when that mechanic put it on the car. Maite Cáceres will hopefully get back out onto the circuit and not lose a lap. She is launched back into the race, and sure enough, she will get the opportunity to rejoin the race without losing a lap, which is good news. Now, I am noting that the 88 car of Amna Al-Qubaisi has actually not come around, so I think Amna may have pulled up the car somewhere, which is a shame if so for the GRS Racing competitor, but she does appear to have gone missing out there on circuit while Cáceres has continued on. Now, of course, there was significant enough contact to shed the Campos Racing car of its front wing, and that could easily also have caused suspension damage to Amna Al-Qubaisi's car, and she is confirmed as stopped in the second sector, which is no doubt a contributing factor to the safety car's arrival, which we now see on screen. The safety car will launch away in just a minute, and being a four-wheel drive Nissan GTR, it can launch away quite quickly. I think maybe about 30% throttle there, though, from our safety car driver, who's taking things very carefully indeed. So then, we see the front wing still there, and now that the safety car is out, hopefully that can be picked up. But it is Akshay Bora that leads the way here in this motor race. With 20 minutes and 25 seconds left on the clock, plus 1 lap, there is still a fair chunk of time in this race. So there will definitely be plenty of green flag running, so long as everyone behaves themselves off the safety car restart. We saw at Valencia last month, if memory serves correct, I think it was 4 safety car periods, 2 of which were for the same car. It was rather dramatic times in the Valencia second race for Formula Winter Series. Now we see the Amna Al-Qubaisi car being recovered. I'm just looking at the front suspension on that car to see whether there was damage, and perhaps that right front wheel is a little bit askew, but it's difficult to tell from that angle. But we now see that car being recovered, so it shouldn't be too long before we get this race back underway. Of course, Maite Cáceres is still circulating, just going through turns 1 and 2 on the circuit at the moment. So she's not in the safety car queue at the moment, which makes it harder to send people out onto the live circuit to collect that front wing. So we might have to delay. I was going to say we might have to delay for another lap, but I understand the safety car lights are out. Yes, indeed they are. So the safety car will be in this lap. And now we have a golden opportunity for those following Akshay Bora, because the safety car will be in, and the safety car restart, especially with such a long run to turn 2, can be a very handy thing indeed for our drivers. Keep an eye on Zachary David and Gianmarco Pradel then. They will be hoping to capitalise. Let's see how Akshay Bora manages this restart. Has he pulled the pin? Yes, he has now pulled the pin. And we do return to racing once again through the turn 14 sweeper. They go and back out onto the main straight once more. There's a good 2 or 3 car lengths between Bora and the chasing pack. So he has managed that launch very well indeed. It will be the number... just lost track of my numbers there, but Akshay Bora, of course, in the 31 car. The number 31 car is still our race leader. Zachary David there in second place, and Gianmarco Pradel trying to find a way by, but remains in third place. Much closer from fourth place back, though. And you can see there that Fred Lund is there in fourth place, and we've got Rikwi Leu, I think, making up a position there. Has Rikwi got up to fifth position in the 66? It looked like he might have done. In fact, no, he hasn't, as one of the Yenza cars there kicks up a lot of grass on the exit of turn 4. Now, that was Kim, I believe. Wang Kim, in the Yenza Motorsport 26 car. But the safety car has been declared again. Safety car back out on the circuit. And I believe that could be for the number 10 of Lola Lovinfoss, who has gone missing out on circuit. Now, did she get through the first sector split? Yes. But I believe she has stopped in the third sector. Now, let's keep an eye. Yes, there is the car just on the outside of that camera shot. We briefly got a look at the side pod of Lola Lovinfoss's Campos number 10 car. So Lola, on the restart, had an issue. And you see her walking away from the car there, just returning behind the tyre barriers. So Lola Lovinfoss came to a halt, seemingly unassisted. So it looks like a mechanical problem or a technical issue of some description for that car. And Lola Lovinfoss will be less than impressed that the race has ended early there. And Lola will be running in F1 Academy this coming season. And oh yeah, no, you can just see Lola very much aggrieved by the situation. All track mileage is hugely useful coming into a racing season. Lola, I think, also competing in the Spanish F4 series as well this coming season, alongside F1 Academy. Of course, Lola is a French racer. And it'll be interesting to see how she matches up against some of the more experienced drivers that have been announced for the F1 Academy category, which is the new all-female series running the Formula 4 cars, as opposed to the regional chassis that were being used prior in W series. Obviously, we saw Nerea Marti in a Campos entry at Valencia, also preparing for a run at the F1 Academy, a series that will be at the Valencia circuit this season, supporting the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series on their American-themed weekend, and there'll be a little dash of junior single-seater action there as well from the F4 cars of F1 Academy. Of course, these cars in Formula One Series are indeed Formula 4 Tatus chassis. The second-generation Tatus F4 car, the ubiquitous choice now across much of the world for Formula 4 competition. There are some outliers around the world, but the Tatuus chassis is very popular. Be it the Italian Championship, the Spanish Championship, two of the more competitive series in the Formula 4 space. And many of these drivers preparing for Spanish and or Italian campaigns, as well as the European expansion to the Italian F4 Championship, which provides a pan-continental option in the Formula 4 space for the first time. Of course, previously a lot of teams would dual campaign the ADAC German Series and the Italian Championship, but ADAC F4 has been folded for 2023. So the safety car continues. We haven't yet got any confirmation as to when it may come in. Hopefully, if we're lucky, we can get it in this lap. We've got 12 minutes and 10 seconds of this race left to run at the moment, and it is Akshay Bora in the race lead. So Akshay will be hoping to once again get a good start once the Nissan GTR pulls in. Of course, first full season for the Singapore-based driver over the winter in the F4 UAE series. I believe didn't score points in that category, but could well be on for a first win here in Formula Winter Series. You see a start-finish line there just under the Circuit de Barcelona text. That, of course, is for the Rallycross circuit that runs in the final sector of this facility. There are lots of different layouts and lots of exciting possibilities here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. And one possibility could be a race win for Akshay Bora. Let's see if he can hold on to that one. Akshay with 11 minutes left to run. And Akshay Bora launches the pack away now. And we do go racing once again, but this time Akshay Bora does not have the car lengths advantage that he had before over Zachary David. And sure enough, David's got a front axle ahead, he's got a whole car ahead, and here comes Gianmarco Pradel as well. Pradel up the inside of Akshay Bora, gets a little bit loose at the apex. I think they just about stayed out of the way of each other as one of the Yenza cars is having difficulties there further back. I believe that was Shrang Kim having an issue. Although no, it was Ethan Isher. My apologies. Ethan Isher has fallen down to 7th place there by the looks of it. Isher down to 8th even, behind Maita Caceres as well, recovering in the Campos racing car after losing the front wing earlier on. So not a good start for the Yenza Motorsport car, not a good start for Akshay Bora, who's now down to 4th place. Frederick Lund in the 14 car has gotten through. They'll come now towards turn 7 and turn 8, and it's Zachary David back to the race lead. It's battling for 3rd place. Frederick Lund. In fact, no, it's not Lund anymore because Rikwi Leu has had a wonderful start. Rikwi Leu has managed to get himself up into 3rd position. How has he done that? He's made up at least 3 places on this lap, if I'm not mistaken. Rikwi Leu has had a sensational start to this resumption of the race. 9 minutes and 15 seconds left to run then, and Rikwi Leu has the advantage. Frederick Lund behind him in 4th place, and of course in the race lead we've got our front row back. It's Zachary David now leading the way overall, and Gianmarco Pradel behind him in P2. Well, goodness me, that was a dramatic restart, and it really has backfired for Akshay Bora. Akshay now down to 5th place. However, side by side among the US Racing cars there in 4th and 5th. And now Yenza Motorsports' Hwang Kim getting involved as well. Surely they didn't go 3 wide through turn 3. That would have been more than a little bit taxing on everyone's collective nerves. I think they all ended up back in formation eventually, and Fredrik Lund has stayed in 4th position there. So Fredrik Lund hasn't been overtaken by the recovering Akshay Bora. Kim Hwa-rang in the Yenza car tried to get up into 4th place there, but remains in 6th and actually has some company, as it were, from Ethan Isher. Ethan Isher, who of course had that little buck and weave into the first corner as we restarted the race. Now down in 7th place, will be eager to get back past Kim if he possibly can. But Kim Hwa-rang just behind the US Racing cars at the moment. It is an all US Racing top 5. The German team, co-founded, co-owned by Ralf Schumacher. Currently with a veritable Spanish armada at the front of this order at the moment. Zachary David leads the way from Gianmarco Pradel. It is Zachary David who has the best lap of the race so far, a 1:42.793. In fact, that lap was secured last time by, so Zachary David at the sharp end of the order with Gianmarco Pradel just behind him is certainly making good headway at the moment. Both drivers in the 1:42s last time by. Everyone else down in the 43s or even the 45s by and large around the pack. So there really is a noticeable pace advantage for David and Pradel at the moment as they disappear up the road. Rikwi Leu there in 3rd place has been gapping Fredrik Lund in 4th. And Akshay Bora keeping a watching brief in 5th position. Race leaders emerge into turn 12 again. Sometimes going to sacrifice the turn in there for a better run out of the corner. And that's exactly what Zachary David did there. Got a good run through 13 and 14 as a result. Meanwhile, it looked as though Gianmarco Pradel took a slightly tighter entry into turn 12. But that, of course, tightened his exit out of the corner for good measure. Both ways of doing it can work. But now, especially with that much faster final section of the circuit, with the chicane removed at 13 and 14, one would suggest that maybe the better run out of turn 12 is now the preferable method. Last time by, though, Gianmarco Pradel was a little bit faster than Zachary David. So David, while he is the race leader, may yet come under a little bit of pressure. We've got just over 4 minutes and 45 seconds plus 1 lap left to go in this race. Had 2 safety car periods in this one to collect the stopped cars of Lola Lovinfoss and Amna Al-Kwabasi. However, with the field now a little more spread out, hopefully we can get to green flag running for the remainder of this race. Heard a little bit of tyre squealing there. Someone certainly trying to get the most out of the rubber before the end of this race. And this time, Pradel looks a little bit closer to me. Let's see what kind of run he gets through the final corner, which is now a lot more challenging than it was 12 months ago, with the chicane no longer a factor. I don't think Pradel's going to get close enough down towards turn 1, or is he? Because he is closing, and certainly Zachary David goes a little bit defensive on the run down to turn 1, but sure enough, Pradel remains in his tow rather than alongside him. Pradel not quite close enough. There was side-by-side on there for 4th and 5th, and the Yenza Motorsport cars in 6th and 7th, scrapping as well. Frederick Lund just holding off former race leader Akshay Bora. So Bora for Us Racing still not back into 4th position, having led the race for much of the race prior to that second safety car restart. Disappointing, I'm sure, for Akshay Bora, but we'll see whether Frederick Lund is going to fall to Akshay Bora before the close of this one. Certainly he's under an immense amount of pressure, and Ethan Isher has gotten past Kim Hua Rang. So Kim Hua Rang has dropped down to 7th place. Of course, Ethan Isher was in amongst the Us Racing cars before making that error on restart a few laps ago. So now back up to 6th place, and we'll see maybe whether Ethan Isher can get involved in this battle for 4th place. Certainly, Frederick Lund is very preoccupied with what's going on in the rearview mirrors as they come out of turn 14 and down the main straight, and Lund may come under pressure here. Top 3 come through our shot, but keep an eye on 4th place, because here comes Frederick Lund, and here comes Akshay Bora. He tries for the inside, but Lund isn't going to let that happen. He goes to the outside, tries to hold it around turn 1, but there's simply too many marbles there around the exit, around the outside of the first corner. We saw there Borat struggling to find any grip at all. And now Ethan Isher is closer to Bora than Bora is to Lund. So 5th place may yet fall to Ethan Isher if he can find a way through. We've got 1 minute and 18 seconds plus 1 lap of this race to go. I make this the 3rd last lap of the race on that basis then. So they should start the penultimate lap this time by 2.5 laps there or thereabouts left to go in this motor race then. And it's Zachary David who leads the way from Gianmarco Pradel in 2nd place. The gap is out to 1.8 seconds now. Pradel, his last lap, a 1:44.215 versus a 1:43.329 for Zachary David. So he lost a second on that last lap alone. And the sector times have actually... well, they're about even in the first sector, but Pradel again losing time in Sector 2. I wonder if he's just taken the best out of the rubber at this stage of the race. But nonetheless, Zachary David starts what will be the penultimate lap of the race with a comfortable margin, 2.4 seconds over his closest competition, Gianmarco Pradel. Things not quite as comfortable for Frederick Lund as Akshay Bora remains within a few tenths of him. We got a brief look at the top 3 before cutting here to turn 3. Let's see Zachary David come out of the corner. You see both of them, particularly Gianmarco Pradel, not afraid to use the green runoff area, and well off track there has gone Ethan Isher. Kim Hua Rang also having a bit of an excursion to the outer reaches of the runoff area. You don't want to test that too much. There are some nasty bumps in that runoff, and if you get it wrong, well, not only will you potentially face track limits penalties, but you might also get a telling off from your team after a moment in the gravel. Oh, a bit sideways there from Kim Hua Rang. Just did well to keep that car on the straight and narrow. Maita Caceres through shot there in 8th place. And not too far off of Hua Rang. Again, a little bit of tyre squeal, I think, potentially from the 31 of Akshay Bora, who hasn't given up on this 4th position. clock has hit 0. But the +1 lap will begin now, so this will be the final lap of the race that we start now. You see the cars making their way past the start-finish line. I don't think Akshay Bora, just coming out through shot there, is close enough to Fredrik Lund this time. You see the yellow nose-tipped car of Fredrik Lund coming into shot, and Bora, despite the slipstream, not close enough. Of course, Ethan Isher, after bouncing across the runoff at turn 3 a lap ago, has fallen off the back of that battle for 4th position. So I think Isher and Yenza Motorsport are going to have to settle for a 6th place finish behind 5 US racing cars. And it looks as though the top 3 is fairly secure. If anyone is going to face pressure, it is Fredrik Lund in 4th. However, I think Akshay Bora may not be able to get the right opportunity he needs to get past. He was not close enough into the first corner for a move. He will have to deal with a little bit of dirty air through that first sequence of corners in the lap. Now coming out of turns 8 and into turn 9. And I don't think Akshay Bora is close enough for a move at 10. Of course, turn 10 is not the braking zone that it once was. Turn 10 recently reprofiled ahead of the 2022 season. Went from basically a hairpin to a sweeping corner, as it was when the circuit was initially conceived. Zachary David, though, comes towards the final corner, and he will secure a win. Zachary David, at one time, it didn't look like he was going to capitalise on that front row start, but he has done. He's taken the win ahead of Gianmarco Pradel. Our pole sitter comes home in 2nd place. Riqui Leu, after a mega second safety car restart, crosses the line for 3rd place. Fredrik Lund takes 4th, managed to hold off Akshay Bora, who I think will be the most disappointed driver of the lot, there in 5th place. Akshay Bora, of course, who was leading for much of the race before that second safety car restart. Akshay Bora ends up in 5th ahead of Ethan Isher in 6th place. Kim Hua Rang in 7th place. And Maita Caceres rounds out our finishing order. Sadly, both Lola Lovinfoss and Amna Al-Kwabasi ended up having to walk and/or commandeer a scooter back to the paddock after both of their cars came to a halt. And, of course, a safety car required in both of those cases. So, certainly not a trouble-free race. We saw front wings being shed from the front of Maita Caceres' car, which seemingly damaged Amna Al-Kwabasi as well. We saw what at one time looked to be a race-winning performance from Akshay Bora wind up being little more than 5th position. Bora certainly can take a lot of positives from how he handled the race leading up to that second safety car restart, but he was frankly engulfed by the chasing pack on that second restart. You saw there some of the GT cars making their way from Parc Ferme and back to their garages before race number 2 for the GT Winter Series, and you can see the panel containing the suspension and the shock absorbers is not on Zachary David's car. I believe it was missing for much of that race. You see there the exposed shock absorbers just in front of the Halo cockpit protection device. Would be very interesting to see them at a super close-up on board to see exactly what they're doing from corner to corner, lap on lap. They certainly get a workout if you clatter the curbs too much, which I don't think we can accuse Zachary David of doing. He drove a very smooth race. Of course, he had the inside of the front row for the start. The second place on the grid is the inside here at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, because of course the racing line is there on the outside. And I think Gianmarco Pradel can be happy with his performance in that race. He made some great attempts at overtaking manoeuvres and got himself back into second place, but he will be disappointed, I'm sure, to not have secured a win on this occasion. Zachary David it is who gets that victory. And a good result, certainly, for the driver of the number 20 car. And you see there a sticker for, I think, Time Attack Manila, I think that said, on the front of his front wing. Time Attack competition, of course, where you go up against the stopwatch rather than other machinery. Very popular in Europe. And there is Zachary David and the rest of our Us Racing podium on the scales. Gianmarco Pradel has been given the all clear. I asked if I could weigh myself on those yesterday, and I got told that they needed them for tomorrow and they didn't want to break them, so sad. You see Riqui Leu there, backed actually by Carol Bash, who is a GT racer in his own right. Carol Bash, who competed last year in International GT Open and represented his native Poland in the FIA Motorsport Games. I believe that might have said Time Attack Malta rather than Manila. It was a distant shot. But of course, it would make sense for the Maltese driver Zachary David to not have Manila, but Malta. Problem solving. That does make a lot more sense. Of course, we alluded to the fact that Akshay Bora had his first full season of racing in F4 UAE. I believe that's also the case for our race winner Zachary David. He'd had a few races in the Italian and German championships with Us Racing last year. But just fresh off his first full campaign in a Formula 4 car, and now claiming his first win in the Formula Winter Series. He has taken a win in Formula 4 machinery previously, Zachary David. But the top step of the podium, I'm sure, still something of a novelty for this young racer. At least in car racing, of course. Don't want to discredit his karting record. Zachary David, just 15 years old. 15 is the minimum age to race in Formula 4 competition. And my stat sheet tells me birthday August the 14th, 2007. So we've officially reached the point where there are drivers in the junior single-seater ladder that were born after Lewis Hamilton's first Grand Prix victories and after both of Fernando Alonso's world titles, of course. So I mean, they probably feel old with those kind of things too, and I'm 25 and I feel ancient for it. So I imagine the elder statesmen of the F1 paddock get increasingly alarmed by the youth movement in the likes of FIA Formula 3. And there you see conversation between Riqui Leu and Gianmarco Pradel. Gianmarco certainly a live wire in the paddock, the young Aussie, who's close friends with new FIA Formula 3 driver Christian Mansell. Those two get along. And perhaps they will both be carrying the Australian flag into international competition in years to come. Of course, I believe Christian's actually entered under the British flag officially in FIA F3 this year. He is BRDC backed, I believe, as well. So Christian, who now lives in the UK, certainly still embraces Australia as his home. He's in Newcastle, actually, at the moment, taking in the Supercars series opener. But we can now focus on our podium, and we'll go down to Lukas Gajewski.
We are for the podium after race 1 of the Formula Winter Series at sunny Barcelona. And here is for you onto the stage in 3rd place for us racing, Ruiki Liu. In 2nd place for us racing as well, Gianmarco Pradel. And your winner from us racing once again, David Zachary. Congratulations, guys. Here are the trophies presented by Stefan Lehner and by Markus Gedlich from the Gedlich Racing organization. Promoters, of course, for the Formula Winter Series just as well. And with the trophies collected, guys, please get together on the highest podium for our pictures. Thank you very much. And then, can we please have a big round of applause for the winners, Ruiki Liu, Gianmarco Pradel and David Zachary. So it's an us racing lockout of the podium, at least in race 1. Thank you very much, guys. One more podium coming up in just a minute, because as you know, in Formula Winter Series we have a separate rookie classification just as well. And let's welcome the 2 rookie podium finishers. In 2nd place of the rookie classification from us racing is Ruiki Liu. There he comes onto the 2nd podium in rookie classification, and here is your rookie winner, 2nd overall for us racing, Gianmarco Pradel. So a 2nd podium for Gianmarco just as well. Trophies presented to our 2 rookie winners, and let's not forget, this one is still open in terms of the championship. So we're looking forward to the decider later this afternoon in our live stream and of course trackside here at Barcelona. Guys, please get together on the highest podium as well for the pictures. And then of course, let's have a big round of applause for our rookie top 2, Ruiki Liu and Gianmarco Pradel. Guys, just wait here for a second. I'm gonna speak to you. We got that microphone in spare. Hang on, I'm just gonna put it in here. Right, we're live, that's how it goes. Bear with me. Gianmarco, gonna start with you. Rookie win. There's our camera. Sorry for that. That's live, isn't it? Congratulations, a rookie win and a 2nd overall, which is rather important for you in terms of championship as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really important because I'm looking to get the rookie championship this weekend. But yeah, we'll see how race 2 goes, and if it goes well, then yeah, see me here again.
Do you already have an update in terms of the points, or do you still need to do the math later on?
Yeah, still need to do the math. Don't know quite yet, but
and it's always difficult to judge, isn't it, with these packed races and safety cars and everything?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of stuff that went on in that race, so tough to judge.
Gianmarco, thank you very much, and all the best for the 2nd race coming up later. So you're free to go. Let's get the rest of them on stage. Ruiki, you want to join us on our podium? No worries at all, that's live, that's okay. Ruiki, we just spoke to Gianmarco. It's still so tough in terms of the rookie battle. So what's your expectation for, well, not only the 2nd race, but for the decider of the championship later on?
I missed quite a lot of points in the beginning. In Jerez, I started in 2nd position, but I have a 4 start. And in Valencia, I lose the front wing. So it's like there's too much mistake in the season. And yeah, try it next time. Congratulations to him. He did always constant and great job.
Thank you very much, Ricky, and of course all the best for the second race later on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks. Now let's have David Zachary, our winner, on stage as well. There he comes, still fixing his overall, and there we have your winner. It's actually quite hot here, isn't it? I mean, you're probably used to it, but still, it's nice for the middle of March, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite good.
David, tell us about your race. It must have been rather exciting with all these incidents and safety cars and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. Starting third on the grid, we had a great run into the first quarter. We were able to get a position there, and then from there we just started to manage the tires, and then we had a good second safety car restart, which then allowed us to make a move for the lead.
And I guess now you're aiming for another US Racing podium lockout later on?
Yeah, for sure.
So there you go. That's your Formula Winter Series Race 1 winner. Thank you very much, David Zachary. See you later on the circuit.
Custom, handcrafted mountain bikes. It all starts with an idea, driven by the adventures that formed us, shaped by the mountains around us. We build the best bikes for us and our friends. Propane bicycles. Customize yours now.